Yes, you are listening to the Ready, Set, Retire radio podcast with Steve Anzuoni. My name is Jessica Forkel. Get more details on the website at fairwayfinancial.net. You know, Steve, when things get expensive and money gets tight, you have to make some hard decisions. A new study found that 51% of Americans have either stopped or reduced their retirement savings in the last 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah, doesn't sound good there. And almost 60% say that money is going toward health care. And a surprising 68% say if the stock market hits record highs this year, it will not help their financial health. So if a client tells you that they're thinking about dipping into their retirement accounts to cover expenses for whatever reason, what do you say there?
Yeah, I'm always nervous and leery of that. I mean, I know if things get dire, it is what it is, but it's such an expensive price to pay, especially if you're under 59 and a half, because you got to pay an additional penalty on top of the taxes. So, you know, that's one of the things this administration is trying to push for, is to allow people to take money out of their 401ks to buy a house. And I'm not a big fan of that, Jess. I really think the two items should be separate, and you shouldn't sacrifice your future. Obviously, if you need a house, you need a house. I get that, but that's why I always talk about having different buckets. It's not, look, I'm not a rocket scientist, and Tracy will vow to that, my wife. But I just try to use common sense. You got to have different pockets of money for different reasons. You need to have that emergency money in the bank, and I know it's not going to make much, but it's there for a reason. If an emergency pops up, or if you lose your job for a bit, or you get disabled or whatever, that's what the money's there for. And the future money, obviously retirement, is there for your future, especially if you're young and you're like, well, I got 20 years to go or whatever, okay? That's not the idea. The idea is to just spread the wealth a little bit and not focus on just the glamorous investments long term. Think of the short-term stuff, the boring stuff that's going to help you out in a pinch. And that's really where you need to get focused. And look, if you got to back off the 401k a little bit, that's fine. I'd rather see you back off than to take out of it. But I always get nervous and leery about that because, again, that's your future. And more people don't have pensions, obviously. And that's the case, then you need to lean on these accounts more. And I don't, this is interesting. What did you say? 68% said if the stock market hits record highs, it won't help?
Well, I guess it depends on how they're positioned in the market as well.
I guess. But most people who have an IRA or a 401k have money invested in market-based assets, usually. So when the market goes up, generally speaking, their account goes up. So, I mean, I hear you, but my thing is just be smart about it. And if you diversify and start now, just do whatever you can. I don't care how much you have a month. Just think of splitting it up into different pieces. It's not so much the amounts, it's where you put them and how you split it up. So that, to me, is my philosophy with that. And if you're having kind of concerns or issues, that's what we're here for. I mean, we've been doing this a long, long time, and I consider myself more of a coach than anything. And I love helping people with these situations. I had someone come in from the radio show a few weeks back, and they were like, well, we've got some debt, a lot of debt and this and that. And I said, all right, let's just tackle a little piece at a time and see what's going on. Now, interestingly enough, they were disciplined enough to save, I think it was $3-something a month into a whole life insurance policy. And they've been doing that for 20 years, something like that, something crazy. And so I'm looking at it, and there's a bunch of cash value in there, like 70-something thousand.
Wow. Good for them.
And I'm like, the answer is sitting right in front of them. Because they were so disciplined and saved the way they did, this is going to help them get over this hurdle of incurring some debt. Now, there was a job loss involved and stuff that, things happen, right? And so they were trying to figure out, how do I get rid of this massive debt and be able to retire, And they were retirement age. So now I have the solution. It's right in front of their eyes. And when we get together again, which will be fairly soon, I'm going to explain to them they can literally, quote unquote, borrow from their own cash value, pay off the bad debt, and literally be their own bank. Because any interest that has to be paid on that is paid to themselves. They're paying it back. It's their money.
So they pay themselves back after borrowing it.
It's their money. So any interest they incur is going right into their bank account. And if there are times and months where they can't pay it, don't worry about it. It's not going to affect it. The policy is going to stay where it is. Obviously, it's going to be lowered by the amount they take out, but it's going to get them out of debt immediately and help them to save more in the near future. So it's an unbelievable option that, and I'm just blown away that their existing advisor didn't even bring this up to them. And it just scares me to say there are people out there who don't even know what they got sometimes. And that's why it reminds me constantly of why I do this. I love to be in that position to give people solutions like that. So I can't wait to see them again, to show them that. And for you folks out there who might be having questions, how do I do this? How do I go about this? We're here for you. That's what we do. Okay, we have a great office. We're here to help, Jess. You know, that's who we are.
Yeah, you want to make sure that you do it the right way. And as you talked about here, being your own bank. If you'd like to sit down with Steve one-on-one, we'll do a little income review and portfolio review for you. And then we'll talk about the opportunities available for you to be your own bank. We'll do it complimentary for you listening today. That's 508-552-3230. 508-552-3230. The website, fairwayfinancial.net. Now, I know part of your process, Steve, when you sit down with anybody, whether they have a plan or they don't have a plan, if they're retired or not retired, you have a process that involves the buckets of money. And I'm talking the 4 buckets here: income bucket, inflation bucket, the emergency fund. You talked about that. And my favorite bucket, everyone's favorite bucket, the fun bucket. And what's really cool about this, guys, is when you go in and you sit down with Steve, I mean, he literally puts like buckets in front of you. It's a visual learning process.
I try to break things down as simply and as logically as I can. And to me, this makes the most sense out of anything I've done over the last 25, 30 years. It's just keeping to this chart, if you will, and saying to people, look, we all know we need income to retire. Okay, I get it. But have you commanded your money to do that job? Or is it just sitting in a pile that might be able to do your job, but you don't know yet, all right? You need to know these things. So I have a bucket that says income, and it's made up of Social Security, IRAs, 401ks, that sort of stuff, and annuities, which are a source of guaranteed lifetime income, which is what everybody wants out of their retirement plan. I had someone come in, very successful, done a great job saving, and he come in, he goes, Steve, goes, I heard your show. He goes, what's up with these buckets? And I said, oh, most people have 401ks and stuff like that, and I get that, but I assign pieces to make sure that the money's going to be there in the future. He goes, yeah, but I don't have a pension. I said, yeah, most people don't have a pension, but you can create one using an annuity that will create a lifetime guaranteed check for you and if you're married, your spouse. And he's like, really? I go, yeah, let me show you. So I did some numbers, ran some numbers, and he's like, this is unbelievable. He goes, so I could take a piece of my 401k, put it in this plan, and in, what did he say? I think it was 4 or 5 years from now, he's ready to retire. And it's going to give me this income that's on the paper? I go, yeah. He goes, something similar like that, maybe. I go, no. That's an exact number. I go, that's exactly what you're going to get in the future. He goes, well, why doesn't everybody do this? I laughed. I go, well, because everyone doesn't know about them because the 401k administrators don't offer them. So I have to be the one to share the news, and that's why I do my show. That's why I do seminars still after all these years. I'm just trying to get information out there. He goes, well, this is fabulous. He goes, I'm going to definitely talk to some of my coworkers about this because they don't know anything about it. And I'm going to tell you something else. All right, Jess? This is hot off the press.
You're hearing it first, folks.
So I don't know if everybody knows this, but this year is the first year, where if you make over, I think it's 145, 150,000, I believe, that if you contribute the extra amount. So if you're over 50, you can do 80-something hundred, and if you're over 60, you can do 11,250, right? Mm-hmm. Any of those amounts have to go into a Roth 401k. By law now, So you could do the pre-tax on your regular contributions. But anything over that, you have to do a Roth. Now, here's the catch. If your employer does not offer a Roth 401k option, you're kind of out of luck with that. And by the way, the government is not forcing the employers to have to do that, even though the law says that the client has to do it. So yeah, I know it's really unbelievable. I just found all this out. I did some deep digging this week. So it's kind of weird where the law says you have to do an after-tax amount because the government wants their tax dollars now, obviously.
Of course they do, yes.
And if your employer doesn't offer it, you're stuck. But are you? There are non-qualified plans out there that can act similar to a Roth 401k. Oh, and by the way, these same people aren't eligible to do a Roth IRA because they make too much money. Now, talk about a trap. So here's people who might make very successful, making 300, 400 grand, whatever, and they want to max out their plan. And the government's saying, well, you can, however, the rules have changed. And if your employer doesn't, have that sort of plan, you're making too much to do a regular Roth IRA, so you're kind of out of luck. Well, not really. And that's why I do these shows, and that's why I need to talk to people like me, okay? So there are non-qualified plans that you can kick in, get this, whatever amount you want. There is no limit. You can do 8 grand, you can do 11 grand, you can do 15 grand, you can do 20 grand. Whatever you want to do every year into these plans. I'm just going to tease it with that, Jess. I'm not going to give away all the details, but you need to look into this big time because this could be an unbelievable supplement to your future, and it's just unbelievable. So there you go. That's something that you should need to call the show on too, all right? So I'll throw that tease out there, Jess.
And again, that phone number, 508-552-3230, 508-552-3230. That website, fairwayfinancial.net. We talk about Warren Buffett a lot on this show, and he gave up his CEO post at Berkshire Hathaway a while back, and he leaves behind a cash pile of, just pocket change, Steve. Not a big deal. It's $300 billion. I mean, it's a Tuesday for him, Yeah. That's it. Yeah, but he tells CNBC that while he's not a fan of cash, it's also a necessity.
When I look at the stock market, I'd rather have the $100 billion in a really good business bought at a sensible price than have $100 billion in cash. I know the cash, it's certain levels necessary, but cash is that way. You always need to have it available because you do not know what will happen. I do not know what the stock market will do.
No one has a crystal ball. It's interesting that he says you need to have cash available. Steve, do you deal with this a lot? And how do you determine how much is enough?
I don't deal with the $100 billions.
Seriously.
But the bottom line is, here's a guy who's one of the wealthiest, richest, smartest men in the world, and that's going to be really tough to have anybody argue that. He's 98? It's not like...
He's up there, yeah.
So, look, if he's saying this, please, for the love of God, will you just listen a little bit out there? Did he say he liked it, Jess?
No, he just says, hey, this is what you should do.
It's necessary because you don't know what's going to happen. So this is why he is who he is and why he's so very wealthy, okay? And again, it's not rocket science. When you look at long-term money, if you've got, 7, 8, 10 years to go, you could certainly put up with fluctuations in your portfolio. There's no question about it. And by the way, you should. Most people get emotional. And when the market goes down, it hurts. All right?
Of course, yeah.
You look at your money, you've worked hard, you're saving it, you're like, oh my God, I can't do this. This is brutal. I can't sleep at night. Something's going on. It's crazy. And the first instinct is to, I got to get out. I got to save it before it all goes to hell in a handbasket. And that, by the way, is probably the worst decision financially you could ever make. And this is where somebody who's got experience, who's been around for a long time like myself, this is when you need us the most, not when times are good. That's easy. When times get tough is when you need us around to say, look, you got to stand your ground, you've got to keep doing what you're doing, and you still got to have a little cash on the sideline. But you know what's funny? When the market's really good, people want to put all their cash in it.
Oh, yeah. We don't do all the eggs in one basket. No.
the worst thing to do too. So this is where I come in as a coach. That's all I'm trying to do, is just to add some logic and take the emotion out of your savings. Does that make sense out there, folks? I mean, look, don't overreact either way. When the market's great, don't overreact and think you're the man and it's because of you and all this stuff. And when it goes down, which it will do every now and then, don't overreact the other way. Stay the course. This is why you need a plan. Have a plan, review it often, and work with somebody who's going to be there for you. Not someone who's, I don't know, I'll call you whenever, or, whenever you need me, whatever, and then not get back to you. You need someone on your team. That's what we do. That's why we have our team, and we have our investment guy, we have our attorney, and we have me to level things off and to keep the status quo. So there you go. That's who we are and what we do. So if you have cash on the sideline and you're nervous about it, or maybe you think you should put it somewhere else, let's have a conversation. Because maybe there is a safe alternative to that cash that you could still have it be cash and not have it be in the direct market. Or maybe that is the right place for you to begin with. I just had someone with a call last week. They called in, Jess. And they didn't have much. They had an old 401k plan. Not a lot in it, just a small amount. And they were like, I was thinking of taking it out and putting it in the bank. Now, this gentleman was only 50. And I said, well, you could do that. I go, but you've got at least 10, 15 years to go. I said, if it were me, I would roll it over and put it with someone like a Fidelity or a Schwab or something like that. And you got to go long-term with that money. So this is my point. I've been around the block. I will look you in the eye, and I will give you my 30-plus years of experience to help guide you in the right direction. So that's the difference maker in my office. We're not this humongous corporate office with 20, 30 employees where you're just a number. You mean something to us, and we're small purposely. We have a nice staff in there. We have a great team we work with, but we treat everyone as if they gave us $10 million. And I think that's the way everyone wants to be treated. So if that sounds like something you'd want to be part of or find out more about, give us a call, and I'll be happy to tell you our philosophy and how we work with people.
Get more details on the website, fairwayfinancial.net. That's fairwayfinancial.net.
Steve Anzuoni is a licensed insurance provider by the Division of Insurance and is not registered as an investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve Anzuoni, Massachusetts Insurance License 3851053. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties. Steve Anzuoni is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Steve Anzuoni is licensed in your state, please call 508-398-3337.